Hello, thank you very much for having me. I will start with a little intro off stage, so we just start with
Hallo,
that.
leuk jullie te ontmoeten. Ik ben Linus en blij hier te zijn. Dit is mijn eerste Devworld en tot nu toe fantastisch. Ik spreek geen Nederlands, maar laten we een video maken waarin ik Nederlands spreek met behulp van AI. Hier is een korte introductie in het Nederlands. Ik ben een vader van 2 mooie meisjes. Ik woon in Barcelona en werk al 20 jaar in de technologiesector. Ik had titels als oprichter, productpersoon en ontwerper. Opvallend is dat ik bij SaaS-bedrijven als Typeform, Flowdesk en Thinktasting heb gewerkt. Maar nu bespreek ik AI en waarom ik denk dat het een facilitator is en hoe het meer oppervlakte kan creëren voor serendipiteit. Laten we beginnen, oké? Tempo.
All right. Let's just do one more thing before we get started.
Hello, I'm here. I'm Sam. You can call me Samantha.
Hey, Samantha.
That Dutch introduction of you, Linus, was quite impressive. Should I save it as a memory and share it with your family in the group chat?
Yes, please, send it.
Okay. Done. Your sister has already started watching it.
That's amazing. She knows I hate speaking in public, but it will be wonderful to see what she says.
Are you nervous? Don't be. We rehearsed this before, remember? You have more than 200,000 people reading your posts daily.
Yeah, true.
And you mainly post from the toilet anyways.
Oh shit, don't go there. They don't know that, so, okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry. We said it could be a nice icebreaker.
I know. We did.
Well, you know where to find me. Good luck with the talk.
Thanks.
You got this.
Thank you. So, obviously I had to script that because I didn't rely on the internet connection here. However, that is 100% doable now with sub 200 millisecond latency, and you can build all of this stuff using APIs. So, which means you can build stuff with this. In the past 18 months, I've gone from like being a designer-ish person to write and share my knowledge from like a non-professional point of view. I'm a tinkerer, I'm a curious person. And sharing those stories with people have led to me being able to come here and talk about that. All right, I built this as a hobby. This is bedtimestory.ai. It's for my kids. And that's the only shameless plug I'll do today. So if you want to have a go with that, please do that. Let's get this clicker working. Okay, perfect. So who am I in English, since the introduction was in Dutch? I actually learned quite a little bit of Dutch doing that little video, since it's interesting, to use these AI tools to kind of learn things. However, I'm Linus. I'm 36 years old. I'm the father of 2 daughters, and I live in Barcelona, Spain. I'm Swedish, originally Swedish. This is also me, and my sister, Emma. We grew up in the 90s in Sweden. Impeccable plastic floors, wallpapers, all the whole shebang. I never get to have tech when I was a kid, though. So my family took all the money that they earned and put aside, and we traveled. We traveled a lot. Every year we went to different places, and yeah, at some point it got a bit annoying. I think this is the kind of stepping stone where I went from being like a normal kid that liked technology to being a kid that loved technology. And I started working. After this trip, I started selling newspapers on the weekends, and every bit of money that I got, I used to start to buy kind of gadgets and trinkets. So I got the Tamagotchi, I got the Furby, all the 90s stuff, you know, the fancy things. The Game Boy Color. I wanted a hoverboard, but I couldn't get one, obviously. And then in adulthood, this kind of geekiness over technology just continued. So a few moments later, obviously again, like in 2014, 20 years have passed since that photo of me starting to buy technology, starting to tinker. I found myself in a position where I'd my own company for a few years, I'd been working in an advertising agency for a few years, and I've been a designer, and I wanted to do something different. So I packed up everything, I got into this car, and I drove from London to Ulaanbaatar with my girlfriend. And we've done some crazy things together. This is us again. Us. And this is me, Fear of Heights. I'm doing a hot air balloon ride in northern Thailand. And I'm extremely afraid of heights. Like, I probably had 200 pulse here, no joke. This is also us in 2015, after that drive to Ulaanbaatar. We found a loft, industrial loft in Barcelona. We painted everything white, and we moved in. We lived like this. We had no furniture, no nothing, but we were happy. 1 year later, I was uncomfortable again, and I thought I was comfortable, so I thought I needed to get uncomfortable, and I bought a boat. I have no idea how to sail. I know nothing about sailboats, but this was a good lesson. And then about 2019, 2020, we got pregnant, or my wife got pregnant. But the doctors told me that I was 99% sterile, so I was very confused when she told me she was pregnant. We got our first kid in the middle of the pandemic. Life-changing experience. It was nice, you know, just life was happy. Then we decided to move to Sweden because Barcelona is not that nice with kids. The first thing that happened is we got a second kid. I don't know why. And now we're 4. So why am I talking about my family, and why did I ground you with this story about me, and why did I tell you that? Because I think this is what matters in the age of intelligence. When machines become paramount in our everyday life, what we do as humans matter, because this is the only thing the machines cannot replicate, being human. And if we rewind to that little part when I was a kid, I was curious. I wanted to see the world from a new perspective, and I love to tinker. I think a lot of developers and designers, to that degree as well, lose that kind of sense of tinkering, and we get stuck in our old ways. So this is the prime technology I had available when I got born. I'm born '87. This got out a bit later than my birthday. And this is me, by the way, getting baptized. And I'm not even religious. This is the prime technology my kids have access to today. So their equivalent of my Game Boy is an interface powered by a large language model that essentially knows everything. Crazy stuff. We're not going to play this video. I'm just going to pass over that.
Hi there. I just want to share.
This is my access to the internet. Potentially yours as well. I remember briefly when playing online, I paid €1 to have an hour of online time with the computer. I was in the middle of slaying dragons, and then my dad would pick up the phone, and all connection was lost. This is my kids' access to the internet, no joke. We're talking 10 gigabit fiber access. So the differences are quite insane. So let's shift gears a bit. Just straight into the hot topic. Will AI take your jobs? Most certainly at some point. Will someone take your job? It happened before it happens again. Many of our jobs didn't even exist 20 years ago. Software engineers for sure, but not in the extent and the rate that they exist today. But that's not the point. If we look at Ahmad here, he has some pretty intense statements.
There are no programmers in 5 years.
Wow.
I think we always have to look at the unchanging between versus the inevitable. So an inevitable is 41% of all code on GitHub right now is AI generated. ChatGPT can pass a GLUE level 3 programmer exam, and it will run pretty much on a MacBook or a phone.
And that's this year?
This year, right now.
Yeah. So those of you with kids who you are having Python lessons and so forth, maybe it's instead helping them to understand how to ask great questions or give great directions or prompts.
While I don't agree with everything Ahmad is saying, he has a point. Will there be 0 programmers in 5 years' time? Debatable. I think the short answer is no. I think the long answer is maybe, but it's not the fact that we're going away. It's the fact that we're changing. The fact that we are differentiating what our role as developers might mean 5 to 10 years from now. But the change is happening now. So you see, farmers, they didn't go obsolete because we got tractors, but we got way less farmers. Calculators didn't kill mathematicians. They removed the need for human calculators. But you could say that without calculations, we wouldn't be where we are today. So calculators are super important to where we are. But then cars did kill horses and carriages. And this is where we need to have like a mindset of being able to have opposing thoughts in our head at the same time. Just because I'm saying there won't be any developers doesn't mean there won't be any developers, because 2 things can be true at the same time. So I think AI won't reduce the need or remove the need for programmers. Basically, to think it will do the opposite. It will enhance the need. So AI is giving people that did not have access. Because all of a sudden I don't have to spend thousands of hours becoming really good at a specific language or a specific thing. I can use my own language that I already speak. So if you're already a developer though, you're getting to the point where you're getting augmented superpowers. And this is not to like give the company you're working for better productivity outputs. It's for your own sake. It's like being a carpenter and one day you had a hammer made out of wood and the next day you get one made out of steel. To the carpenter's demise, like he loves that. He can now work faster and better and he doesn't have to change the hammer every now and then. And we can look at it from another perspective as well. If you come to work and you bring a 10-year-old computer versus bringing a new computer, how well will you fare against your colleagues? Not well. So I think the way that we should look to this is that it's a new suite of tools that will augment our abilities to become better. The barrier of entry is super low. You don't need coding experience to get started, and you use natural language. So I have this on my profile on X. It's not mine, it's not my quote. It's from Mistrot, a founder of Let's.ai from Luxembourg. And I think this stands really true. You see this in many permutations all over the internet. So let's do a little bit of an interactive break. We don't have a big crowd here, but it could be fun anyway. So I want to see some hands. Are you using Visual Studio Code? All right. Are you using Cursor, Vim, Zed, JetBrains, or any other IDE that's powered by AI? Okay. So we're seeing a bit of a change there. Are you using the AI features in your IDE? Half-ish, less, maybe 40%. And is that experience good? Even less, so half of a half of half, so 25, 20%. Is that bad experience? Okay, it's good. That's kind of where I thought we would be. I've been devouring quite a lot of information about this and talked to a lot of developers, and it feels like this is the kind of moment we're in. But there are other areas where this access and change to AI tooling has become a lot further along. So I'm not sure if there's too much inertia in the developer community or if it's just the fact that these tools are really not there yet. But the world is not a zero-sum place. So let's see. We have a lot of things to kind of dream up about and to look forward to when it comes to these tools. And if you're using Zed, for example, you know that the change is not measured in years. It's rather measured in months or even weeks. So how did we get here in the first place? What happened? So we have about 122 years of Moore's law, where half of that is after the transistor. This is the important part to actually take into consideration. This is a log scale. If you look closely to that log scale, you'll see a curved line. And a curved line on a log scale is not nice, not if you don't like change. We see how this potentially will go even more curved on a log scale, which is crazy. It started back in 2012 with AlexNet when it comes to like machine learning that we know today and why we have transformers. And it's by these three guys. You're probably sure you know them, at least Ilya. He was in some hot weather a few months ago over at OpenAI. And AlexNet was a simple image recognition model. And the foundation work they did for AlexNet led to a few things. And we see something here that's quite interesting. In 2017, we see a bend in this curve. And the reason for that is transformers. So the original transformer was made in 2017, and after that point, everything started to go bananas. Number of research papers, number of patent filings, investments, everything just started to go up. And we got the LLM. So when you interact with your IDE, it's basically powered by an LLM. There are plenty to choose from. They're open source, they're closed source. The key thing is they are doing something fundamentally to the way that we work. And you can kind of group it into 4 things, and then you can do these things in any direction: Z depth, up, left, right. You can transform, translate, generate, and classify, more or less. And there's sub things you can do within that. You can string this into enormously long processes, or you can do it statelessly, like just doing one thing at a time, transitioning some data to another format. So democratizing access so that anyone can participate is what is really powerful here, and what leads to some of the things that is in my title of the talk, the serendipitous moments that will occur due to this, due to the fact that there is no border of entry, that anyone can participate in having ideas. Doesn't mean they're expert, it means that they bring their unique perspective to the table. So usually if we just look at a very simplified org chart that you kind of work in maybe day to day, you have designer, you have engineers, you have business, other functions, but this is a very simplified worldview. In the best case scenario, you're working in a situation where you have some Venn diagram that overlaps something like this, where you have clusters of knowledge and you meet in the very, very center. You have some common grounds of understanding where you can cross-pollinate your work. Usually most work then happens in silos. If we take the power of large language models, we get something like this. And the AI in the middle is not like an autonomous agent. It's the tools that we're using. So AI in this sense is the glue that pulls all the functions closer to each other, which opens up for more serendipity, more randomness, and ultimately more stuff being done in less time, which leads to more surface area. Doesn't matter if you change the org chart around or if you make tens of rings or hundreds of rings, the same applies. So we get closer to each other. It's like Matrix, but instead of like being jacked in to get the knowledge, we basically use these tools to kind of augment our own knowledge and push forward in what we're able to do. I wish it was this, maybe we'll get there in the future. So speed. I want to touch on speed because I think it's one important thing that easily gets overlooked. LLMs are today at the same rate as we were with dial-up modems. So we have output rates that might be 40, 50 tokens per second or a bit more. We're running this on GPU hardware, which is made for gaming. But Grok is a very interesting company. It's a hardware company that's been around for about 5-6 years. They recently announced their LPU unit, which is a language processing unit that makes running LLMs, regardless of the vendor and provider, 10 to 200 times faster. In the initial release testings, we can expect this number to go up another order of magnitude soon. The token cost per million tokens burnt or used is like 2 orders of magnitude cheaper than OpenAI, currently running on GPU hardware. So here's an example of a Grok running Gemma at 851 tokens per second. So I'm just going to play this video. So what we're looking for is the speed of the output. There you go. So at that rate, you can imagine the types of applications you can build. Because you can run Code Llama here. You can run any LLM on this hardware. So the type of software that we can develop when speed is no longer a bottleneck grows exponentially. And there are so many use cases, like an endless amount of things you can imagine where standard programming would not cut it, and you need logic, and you need something that is like, I just want to pass it something and do something with it that would take me forever to code. So super important to take this into consideration when you're maybe on the fence of whether or not to use this or when to use this, is to be vigilant about things are coming and they're coming fast. And another thing to take into mind is like, oh, your operations in the companies might be like, oh, it's too expensive to run. We don't want to do this because inference is too expensive. We're running towards zero cost inference. And by that, I mean electricity cost. And this is not like a made-up thing by me. This is basically what everyone is saying right now. Training is going down, inference cost is going down, and everything is just getting extremely cheap. So I wanted to show a live demo, but I'm running out of time, so we're just going to sprint through these next pieces. Generative AI is like a combination of things within one field. And I also don't like the term AI, just to be very clear. It's like I don't like computer science as a term either. It's just too much within it. But generative AI, in the sense that I view it as something that's based on a diffusion model rather than a large language model, is everywhere. And maybe we can take some cues from what's happening in the creative industry to what's going to happen in the developer industry. Here we see, Photoshop 2024 with generative fill. We see ClipDrop, which is like this amazing library now owned by Stability. We see Wonder Studios, the CGI studio that basically does this. The promo video is underselling the product. And the thing that we can do now is programmatically create anything we want at scale, at low cost. So you can, this is me generating bananas in 30 seconds, and I've generated about 800 bananas. This is me trying to like, oh, what if we made a bus made out of cheese? And I can use Midjourney to do this. Or I can use Stable Diffusion to help my artist friends to make mood boards for their new feature film. I can not be a car designer, but still participate in that end genre because I know what I like, and I can create stuff using Leonardo. If I'm an artist, but I don't know how to paint, but I know what I like, and I know I can dream it up in my head, I can use these tools to kind of express that. I can draw things easily and then have it transformed into a style that I'm looking for. So, to make a conclusion here, like comparing the developer experience with the creative experience, this is 2 years of Midjourney. And I couldn't even fit 6.0 here. That's currently the last SODA model. But this, from V1 to V6, is exactly 2 years. So V1 did output like 512 by 512 pixel images. I don't even know what that is. Like it's some abstract version of Johnny Depp. And this is what we get today. This is the state of art that we get today. Text to image in less than 2 seconds using a diffusion model. It's going to be insane to see where things are going, and we can just extrapolate from that onto all fields. You know, the model industry is just going to go crazy with this stuff. Everything's going to change for them. Cinematography as well. Why pay endless amounts of money for artists when you can have less amount of artists doing more work and at higher definition? The way we work are going to change. Maybe there will be new jobs for them, maybe not. So another thing that's interesting is that you can have AI and humans work together. For example, I generated a set of 10,000 chairs in plastic, inflatable plastic chairs. And then I had AI score them. This is the AI's version of the top set based on some parameters I gave it. And then working together with humans, this is the number one. So here again is the augmentation of generating 10,000 inflatable things in, let's say, 35, 40 minutes, then having AI classify that in a minute, and then having humans work for a day, figuring out which one is the best. When we can do these things at scale, personalized, everything just becomes so different. So I'll leave you with this. AI will impact everything in a positive way. And we might have some hurdles that we need to overcome. I'm not a doomsayer, and I'm not in the camp of like, let's pause everything. But I'm also in the camp of let's build. Let's get everyone excited about what's possible. And in the age of intelligence, being human matters. So thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate it.